visa, applying for student visa. Just want to make sure with you, if you want to know, if you already have a visa, if you just want to ask about how to maintain visa, you have to move to another session because that's Pada feedbackers talk a lot about that kind of things. Okay. But for this session is we're going to talk more detail about how to apply for a student visa for those of you who haven't done any kind of the prepare yet, document preparation and stuff like that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay. So we're gonna go very straightforward for our agenda. But Sulaiman, our speaker today, Vice Consul U.S. Embassy Jakarta, is gonna present 15 until 20 minutes, and then after that presentation, we're gonna take the rest of. We're gonna have like 15 minutes for this session. Hope so. For the rest after the presentation, we're gonna take for the Q&A. So if you have a question, you can tap your question on the chat box and then we're going to address your questions in the end after the presentation. All right, I think without further ado, all right, Pak Sulaiman, time is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Pak. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Solomon Togrol, and here in Jakarta, I go by Pak Suli. I want to start talking about myself a little bit. So I studied, I went to a community college in Virginia, and then I went to a public school, university, and then for my master's, I studied at a private university, American University in Washington, D.C. So I'm a higher believer in U.S. Higher education and the different schooling systems that we have in the United States, which a lot of people are not aware of, including community colleges, public schools and private schools. And now I'm one of the consul officers. So this is my first diplomatic posting, and I've been here in Jakarta for 1 year, and I enjoy my job as a diplomat living here. And one of the big component of my job is interviewing visa applicants for those who are interested going to the United States for study, tourism, and more. So yeah, we'll start with the process of applying for your student visa. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. You just have to follow the steps. We try to provide all the information for those who are interested and wanting to study in the United States on our websites. The State Department has a website. It's travel.state.gov. And also the U.S. Embassy here in Jakarta, we have all of this information out there for you guys to have. As far as the visas, there are two types of visas for students. We have the most common student visa is the F1, and then we also have the exchange visa known as the J1. Um, the J1s are usually for exchange programs by the State Department, and the F1 is for international students who are, which is the common one, who are interested in wanting to go study in the U.S. So those are the two common visas, student visas that are out there. Um, there are 5 steps to apply for a student visa. And this information that you're looking at the slide, it's already on the travel.state. So you don't need to take notes. You don't need to just go onto the website. It's all there for you. So first, you want to get accepted to an institution, whether it's a small school, big school, private school, public school. That's you want to get accepted. Once you do that, you fill out an application for a visa. And there's an application fee of $160. Once you do that, then you'll apply for a SEVIS. Um, the SEVIS, it's a very detailed program that's required. It basically registers you to the institution that you're going to study. And there's also a SEVIS fee that comes with it. So once you do that, step number four, you want to schedule and complete a student interview. This is a here in Jakarta, these applications, once everything's done, the scheduling process, you have to do it far in advance. So if you're starting school in August, you want to make sure that you do this. You don't wait until May, June, or even July. You want to do it, right away. So that because our appointment slots are far ahead already. So we have to always plan for the months ahead. You want to do this before. And yeah, so once you come, you will meet with an officer like myself. We will interview you. And I'll talk about a little bit later about the process, but the interview is pretty simple. You're going to be nervous. That's okay. You're going to tell us why you're going to the school, what are you going to study, and that's what we're interested before we can, issue your visa and see that you're a fit. But it's a very easy process and it goes super fast. But it's perfectly okay to be nervous during this interview. Um, Step one, you're applying to schools. You'll get two important forms that we, as the officers, will look for. It's either the I-20 form or the DS 2019. These two forms are required to apply for a student visa, and we need to see it. So you need to bring it on the day of your interview. And based on that form, it has all the information we need, and that's how we interview you. Your information is on that. A lot of this about schools. You have lots of resources here in Jakarta and throughout Indonesia. We have consulates throughout Indonesia and also here at the embassy. Education USA and also at America. There's tons of good resources with good people who are wanting to make things easier for Indonesians. Take advantage of that. A lot of this is we want to make sure that Indonesians have all the help and all the resources so that they're prepared and the process is easier for them. Number two, step two is completing your application. You want to make sure that everything is done far in advance. Uh, I can't emphasize this enough, but it takes time to process stuff. And Indonesia is a big country. We love to see Indonesians go study in the U.S. and the visa demand is very high. And we also need time on our side to um, bring you on, interview you, process your visa so that you have time to prepare as you're transitioning, your to go to the United States to study. So it's important for you to plan this out. Um, the visa application is known as the DS-160. And then there are fees. When you come here, the MRV fee, you have to pay these fees before you can speak to a counselor like myself for your interview. And again, you want to bring that form with you. Forms are critical. Step three for your service fee. The service fee is also critical because this is a system that monitors students and all exchange visitors during the time while you're in the US studying. You want to register and pay that fee. This is something that you'll be asked during your interview by an officer. Did you pay your service fee? Your application will not move forward unless you have taken care of this. Sometimes, from my experience, students have said, oh, my service fee has been taken care of, and they've done their part, but their application, it's not noted on there or it's not active. As There was another speaker prior to this presentation who talked about that every school has a point of contact for international students. That point of contact is the person you want to reach out and say, hey, I'd like to take care of the service, or I'd like to get a status on my service. So once you pay that, you want to bring the service fee, the receipts, so we can see that you're taking care of that, again, during your interview. Step four, you're going to schedule the interview. It's conducted here at the embassy. We also have, right now, we're not doing uh, F1s, I believe, and because of COVID, we're very limited in Surabaya. But Jakarta, we're operating Monday through Friday. Um, with the exception of holidays, the embassy is open, and we're doing what we can to continue providing services to those who are interested in wanting to study and work and go to the United States for tourism. Um, there's one more thing that's very critical. Yes, it's on this slide. So for a student visa, you have to have up to 120 days before the start date. So on the I-20, there are lots of dates on there. You want to make sure that you schedule your appointment and that you cannot go to the United States 30 days prior to the start date of your uh, the date on your DS 2019. Are you guys able to hear me, Iqbal?
Yes, yes, I can hear you, but something that's I don't know what's going on. People, if can you unmute? So you mute it because there's on session. Go ahead, Pak Sulaiman.
Okay. Um, all right, so we're gonna talk about documents to bring to the interview, and I want to make this quick so I can give you guys time to ask me questions. But these are critical stuff that we need. Again, I-20 or DS 2019. The DS 160 form is important. There's a barcode that we need to scan. That's why you need to bring that. The service fee receipt, you will not be issued a visa if you qualify unless you have taken care of the service status. Um, your interview appointment, it's very organized, so you don't have to worry about where to go or who to talk to when you schedule your on your interview date. You'll be taken care of as soon as you get to the embassy. There's instructions on how to get you into the building. We want an updated passport, a valid passport, um, and you want to make sure that your passport is valid. We cannot stamp a visa on an old or on a passport that's getting ready to expire. You also want to bring your previous passports with you. The officer might want to see of your previous travels. This is important. You know, passports where you, if you have previous passports, bring those with you. It may make the decision making of the officer during your interview easier. And photos, make sure you have updated photos. We don't want to see old photos. You know, 6 months, most recent 6 months, those are okay. But anything past 6 months is not okay. Most students get scholarships. You know, during the interview, they say, you know, I've gotten scholarships and my parents will help me. We would like to see the letters from institutions. You want to make sure that you have it on hand. You know, I have had applicants who say, "Oh, I've gotten a scholarship, but you know, it's on my phone." Unfortunately, you know, your phones are not allowed in the U.S. Embassy, so you want to make sure that you bring those because your interview is the opportunity that you have that you're telling the consular officer that you want to go and here's how you're going to take care of your financial planning. And I'll talk about what officers look for during the interview. Step 5, the reciprocity fee. So as of effective uh, 20, so 2 years ago, as of August 2019, Indonesians now have to pay a $220 reciprocity fee. This is only for F1 students. And if you're married and you have dependents, that includes the F2s, your dependents also have to pay the reciprocity fee. Uh, this is taken care of after uh, at the embassy during your scheduled interview date. That's only you only pay that fee if you've been approved for a visa. So if you come in and you do not qualify for a visa, you do not have to pay a reciprocity fee. It's only when you're granted a visa, then you'll be asked to go. Please take care of the reciprocity fee, and then we will work on adjudicating your application so that you get a visa on your passport. Uh, okay, so those are the 5 steps. As far as the some tips about a good interview, uh, I enjoy as part of my job, I enjoy interviewing students who are interested in studying in the US. Um, the questions that I always ask is, I know that applicants are nervous, and it might be their first time to the embassy, and it's a big transition going from Indonesia all the way to the United States to study. So I understand that people are going to be nervous, but at the same time, I usually start like, "How are you doing?" Set the tone so that they feel calm. And my colleagues, they do the same thing. So we're not here trying to make things difficult for you. The interview is simply for us to know what your motivation, what your goals are, and then it will help us make a decision whether you qualify for a visa or you don't. And you want to talk about your goals. You want to talk about your academic plans. Why you're picking a place. Why are you studying the subject that you're interested? Why are you picking a certain school and not? So you'll be asked very questions that you should be able to answer because you have put time and effort because this is something that you want to do. You want to be honest. You don't want to say something that because it can throw us away. If you're trying to come up with answers that are not you. So you want to be honest with us. It will help you and it will help us. And finally, you want to show that you have ties to Indonesia, that you have planned to go to in the United States, study, you know, and then come back. This is your country. Um, we want to know that. Like, I'd like to go to US to study, and I plan to come back and improve my community or become a teacher. You want to show us that you have strong ties to your country. And finally, like I said, this goes really fast. Just know that the officers are there. They want to listen to you, and they're more interested in wanting to know why you're doing this. Um, I think that's enough for now, Iqbal. Maybe we should open it up to questions.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Pasoli, for your straightforward presentation. Okay. So before we move to the Q&A, question and answer, probably I'm gonna take a little bit review 5 steps. Okay, for applying for your student visa. Okay. The first step is you have to be accepted for the U.S. school. Okay. And the second one is you have to filling out an online visa application DS 160, and then you have to pay visa 160. Is that correct, Pak?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. Pay the visa $160. And the third step is you have to register in service at service fee, and then you have to pay service fee is around 220 US dollar. Is that correct, Pak?
I believe so. That sounds correct.
Yes. Okay. And then for the fourth step, and you have to make a schedule and complete your you have to make a schedule, right? Schedule for your visa,
For
and
your
then for the last one, and you have to paying additional reciprocity fee if you're applying for F1 or F2 student visa. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Solly, for your presentation. And then we're going to move a little bit on our Q&A. But my first question is, that's a lot of students ask me about during PPKM emergency, and if you can explain that a little bit, how is that affecting the U.S. Consul? Is it because a lot of students, they already have a schedule on during like 3rd July and the 20th July, 20th July. So how is it going back for that kind of things?
Yeah, Pak, that's a great question. Yeah, the situation in Jakarta with PPKM has made things, uh, the pandemic has made things difficult, and it has been a difficult time here in Jakarta over the past 2 weeks with the rise of cases with COVID. Um, we are doing what we can. The consular section at the embassy is open.
Mhm.
We are doing what we can we understand how important it is for Indonesians wanting to study in the U.S. and the demand is there. and we want to make sure that we, uh, for those who are interested, to give them an opportunity to come in for an interview, and if they qualify, go to the U.S. and study. That being said, PPKM has made things difficult with the roadblocks, and we are operating, but we've had last minute cancellations,
Mhm.
which is normal. We have had students who are, their program are starting, but we don't have any available slots, and
All right.
so there's a lot, but making expedited appointments, requesting schedule. Uh, we're here what we can, but we're working with a limited staff. As far as making sure that visas are approved and people's passport for those who are interested in going.
All
So
right.
yeah,
Yep. Thank you so much, Pat. So I just want to make it more clarification on this. So if there's something happen, like for example, you cannot make it for your schedule on visa, and then is it possible the student do like applying for an emergency visa? Is it possible to do that? And just how is it guarantee student get a new schedule for their student visa? Because that a lot of students ask me about this, and if they have to apply for the emergency visa or the expedited process kind of visa, how is it guaranteed to get a new visa, Pak Soin?
yeah. We have a email distro box. It's called Jack Console.
Mm-hmm.
And what we tell, we receive this, but we can only schedule based on what we're capable of. Um, so a lot of this itu tergantung based on the people's situation, and so we look at it case by case and go from there. But for those who have special needs and they need to either change their appointment or cancel their appointment, it's important for them to let us know because that one slot could be another slot for another student who wants to go. So it's important, and that email, it's on the U.S. Embassy website. It's jackconsul at state.gov.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can email on jackconsulstate.gov and throw your email there and put your question there, and then you can hope the visa counselor can help you that. Okay, so we move the question from Angie. Okay, Angie has a question regarding she had an interview on April, but currently my visa is still refused and under administrative processing. I have emailed the consulate and they reply saying that they don't know how much longer this process will take. What should be my next step? That what she said. Okay, should I continue emailing them or what can I do to speed up the process if possible?
Yeah. Thank you, Angie, for the question. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on when we get applications, and usually when your application, whether it's a F1 visa, J1 visa, student a tourism visa, when it's being under administrative review, there's a lot of stuff that we need to review before we can proceed with um, issuing your visa. It usually takes time. It usually we may need additional information from the applicant, which we need, and the more sometimes we need to pass that information to our offices in Washington D.C. The embassy will send that to make sure that we have everything we need. So the timing, it's really difficult to say it will take this time. And with COVID, a lot of people are working from home, and so things are, although we're open and doing what we can, but the information sharing, has been, um, uh, the pandemic has caused other stuff to, slow down. So when it's under administrative review, usually we return the passport back so that if applicants have other travel needs, they can have their passport while we're still reviewing their application.
All right, thank you so much, Pa.
And
So the next,
they do not need to send multiple emails because we we're tracking, you know, the
Okay.
visas that are going under additional or administrative processing.
Okay, so if you already send the email and just waited, okay, so until the visa
Yeah.
team answer your questions. Okay, next question from Angie. Is there any possibility to the that the interview will be conducted in online format due to the restriction and regulation in Java and Bali? Is it possible? If not, will the interview require an PCR test or antigen test?
Wow, great question. As of right now, there aren't any plans of interviewing applicants virtually. Uh, we have an embassy. We have a brand new embassy and we practice protocol kesehatan. We try to make sure that we don't uh, bring in too many students at one time. So this is part of the scheduling. Obviously, with PPKM, it's a lot of difficulties. We understand that applicants sometimes have to come from different parts. Not everyone lives in Jakarta, Pusat. But no, at this time, all there aren't any plans of doing interviews virtually. And same thing with testing, that's not required. We do have hand washers right when you enter the embassy, and we do ask applicants. We have tabs while folks are being interviewed to mendapatkan kesehatan protocol.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Soli. The next question is, ini ada beberapa pertanyaan ya, pertanyaan yang sama is a questions about they're kind of late to apply for student visa Pak because they're gonna have their classes very soon. For some of them, just they're gonna start their classes on August 23rd, and their scheduled visa is 19th August, for example, like that. Is that how uh, options that we do is that they just send email check at student they need to expedite the schedule, or how is it possible to do that if that the case like that Pak?
Yeah, we're aware of this. You know, we can't just bring everyone in into the embassy, and a lot of this is moving slow. Is because of making sure that we don't clog up the section with lots of students. We understand that programs usually fall programs start late August and it goes on. So you have to make an appointment, get yourself a slot, and until then, there's not much. You can always write to us. We want students to write to us and share their concerns.
Mhm.
But with the situation, we don't have the manpower to bring people.
Mhm.
So um, I've had many applicants who've done entire semester virtually, and finally for their second semester, they were able to get a slot to go and study in person in the U.S.
Alright,
Yeah.
okay, terima kasih Pak Sole. Alright, okay, the next question is regarding some uh, wrong put on the DS 2019 and I-20 because the some of them have cases like they wrong put their like missing letters in their name. There's they wrong put on there's it should be like male and they put like female and stuff like that. So what is supposed they have to do, Pa Soli? They have to change the I-20 first or the S 2019 first before they're going for the visa application, or they can go directly for the interview. So during interview, the system gonna fix that, or the officer is gonna fix that. How is this gonna be happen?
Yeah, the application, we expect students to be able to fill out if they're going to study in the United States for a bachelor's degree, for a master's degree, or for a PhD. We expect students to be able to fill out their application correctly. So that's all I have to say on that. Um, but you cannot have errors on your application because that application we get your information from that application, and it's stuff like that that can prolong your visa.
Mhm.
We want to make sure that when applicants are approved for a visa to immediately process the visa, put it, stamp it on their passport, and so that they can plan ahead as they have to go find housing, find a roommate, adjust to a new society. It's not just getting on a plane and going. So we expect students to fill out their applications correctly, because
Okay.
in the interview, we will see that their application on our screen. And if there's something that's not accurate, if somebody is lucky and there's a prompt one di pansaya, we have a problem. And that shows me that this student, it's not taking the application seriously.
Mhm.
So it could be detrimental in the officer's decision making. You want to make sure that you take your time and that use the resources. If you These forms are a lot, and I understand when I was a student, it's a lot of information. But because of that, we have Ad America, we have resources online where they want to help students who are wanting to go and help them, prepare with their applications. There's lots of seminars. Follow Ad America; they have good stuff on there. So that's my 2 cents on that.
All right. Okay. I think that some cases is not the mistake is not from the applicant. Some mistake is from the U.S. when they I don't know they filling out the form within they fill out the form of the S 2019 or I-20 they put in wrong like missing letters with wrong. That's probably a lot of cases like that. But so yeah, you already explained that. Hope everything's can be addressed during interview and hope everything's going to be fine. All right. The next question is okay. That's one student Shahpati. Okay, I think she is not here already. She's in Romania. Sorry, Romania. Okay, but she's about to apply U.S. visa student. So is it possible to apply through Romanians, U.S. embassy in Romania, or they have to go back to Indonesia to apply that?
No, if the applicant is there, they should apply through the U.S. Embassy or consulate in Romania.
All right. Okay. Uh, it's clear, yeah, Shapati, yeah. I hope everyone with the same cases can get it through for this. All right. This next question is okay, from Risky, I'll be bringing spouse and my 2 years old child to study with me. During my interview, do I need to bring my 2 years old child with me or not?
No, we don't
Okay,
interview minors.
okay.
We only interview adults.
So if they have to bring the kids inside the US visa consulate, is it possible? Because that's one student asked me.
To bring their child in this
Yeah,
case, so,
yeah.
um, they're welcome to bring with the situation with PPKM and
Okay,
limiting. We advise folks for applicants, for the principal applicants to come.
okay,
But yeah, we're not gonna turn you around if you bring your child with you to the consult section. But
okay.
they will
So
not be interviewed or fingerprinted.
all right, okay. I hope it's clear, yeah. Rizky dan and some others who asked the same questions. Okay, lots of a question from the student who live in area in Surabaya, Pak Soli. Okay, that's actually they can apply in Surabaya, but until right now they're still closed for a visa. Is that how is it gonna happen for the next opening visa? How is that?
For Surabaya,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I know that because of PPKM, where the Surabaya consulate it's offering very limited services. So we advise those to come through Jakarta. I cannot tell you about what will the best way to keep up to speed as far as updates. It's through any announcements will be made through the U.S. Embassy website. But we hope that the consulate in Surabaya will return back to normal services. Semoga soon, inshallah.
Okay. All right, so if that's the case, no options. What you have to do is applying to the US Embassy Jakarta for that kind of cases you have. All right, so the next question is um, okay, from Anissa. Would it be a problem if the name of my passport has the last letter cut off because it's too long? This doesn't become a problem when I apply visa to other countries like UK, Schengen, and previously.
Uh, I cannot. We usually review that. But passports, we want to make sure that the passport has the information on your application matches your passport, and the passport is a very important document. So um, it will, we will review it, but if it's not um, okay, we will address it back to you, back to the applicant. So it's kind of, it's something that we have to review it first.
Okay, thank you so much. From Jacobus Cliff Dickey, okay, he has a question regarding I'm registering for a visa interview using my regular passport because I am afraid that I will not interview schedule in early August. However, next week the government will issue my service passport dinas. That's what he call it. Can I change to use my service passport instead of my regular passport at the interview session?
Yeah, I mean, if he comes with a service passport, that's perfectly okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not.
All right. So you can apply through your passport dinas, ya, Mas, ya. It doesn't matter. But I suggest you bring two passport during interview. So if the case they cannot issue for the passport dinas, you can use for the passport biasa, yeah. All right. The next question before probably we're gonna take like two more questions for visa. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of questions regarding visa in Surabaya, US consulate visa, because they want to apply in Surabaya, but they can't do that. But yeah, I suggest you have to go to Jakarta to apply that. I know that's so hard for this time, so difficult with the current situations. I hope everything is going to be fine in your side. Okay, the next question is okay, so if we have to bring family, Solly, is there any tips and tricks? Because it's going to be really hard to bring family in the United States. So especially for applying visa, is that do they have to take for the same visa or they take for like because visa like F1, F2 visa, or they can take like another visa, B1 or B2 visa? Can you explain about that?
Yes, I can. So for families who are accompanying, for
Yep.
example, parents want to accompany their daughter or their son to go.
Mm-hmm.
No, they will not get a student visa. Um, let's keep this simple. So if an applicant gets comes in for an interview and he or she wants to go study in UCLA and their applicant's parents wants to accompany their
Mm-hmm.
child, the parents will need to schedule their own for a tourist B1, B2 visa.
Okay.
But if they already have a visa, then the student just needs to get in it and then they'll be able to travel. F1 visas and B1, B2 visas are good for 5 years with multiple entries. But the parents will not be getting F1 visa. Now, if the parents are going to do, if an applicant is going to go study on a PhD program and they have kids who are minors, then the principal applicant will get the F1 visa. The dependents, the child, the children will get the F2 to accompany the parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think this is the last question from Danny. If we cannot make a visa in Indonesia, so is it possible to do that in another country, like a neighboring country, for example, Singapore or Malaysia?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay, so that's a question from Danny, and if he asked the question, if he cannot make it the interview visa in Jakarta or in Indonesia, is it possible to do that in another country, for example, in Singapore or Malaysia?
Um, it's if 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 you're living in Singapore or Malaysia and you have like a residence, sure. But if you're going there for holidays or the consular officer would be interested in why you're in those countries and not in your. Remember, part of the interview, you want to show to us that your ties are to Indonesia.
Okay.
So, but that could be part of the interview. You will have to explain why you're in Singapore and Malaysia applying for a visa when you have consulates and a big, beautiful embassy in your capital.
Okay, okay.
I do
So,
want I do want
yeah,
to just
go ahead.
backtrack on Surabaya. I just got I wanted to double check. So Surabaya is doing student visas, correction.
Mhm.
So you are able to do apply for a student visa in our consulate in Surabaya.
So when that's gonna happen, we don't know yet, Pa, right?
No, they're doing, but you know you would have to apply. Their consulate Surabaya is provide offering F1 student visas.
Okay, nice. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so if you have a further question, you can direct message ya langsung bisa ke Education USA Advisor kita yang ada di beberapa kota dan yang di Jakarta khususnya kalau kalian biasanya di Jakarta juga atau mungkin di Malang, di Makassar, Aceh dan segalanya, you have to go to the our social media di sana segala informasi ada kalau kalian mau langsung menghubungi dengan kita. Oke, I think thank you so much Pak Soli for your presentation and for your answering all the questions dan mudah-mudahan bagi kalian yang sedang mempersiapkan visa kalian lancar ya walaupun dengan segala kondisi yang kita rasakan sekarang. And all right, and then we go to the main room again for the closing. All right, thank you so much Pak Soli and